mean, let's just address it for a moment.
What, the cursing?
Yeah.
Okay, let's address it.
So, there's this concept which seems like, I'm not going to say it's universal, but I think like people are aware of it and they use it. Uh, well, I think it's similar to what we call kavana.
Mm-hmm.
And for instance, like, when I was kind of studying Japanese martial arts back, a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
there's this concept called zanshin,
Mm-hmm.
which means intention.
Yeah.
So it says that when you strike someone, you have to infuse it with zanshin for it to be effective.
Like
That's
Mike Tyson used to say, with ferocious intent.
That's right. It has to, it's the mind and the heart, seriously, that infuse the physicality with whatever power it has. It's not just simple, two stupid objects smashing into each other. You know what I mean? That's not what we're dealing with here with human interaction. So I feel like sometimes to make an effect, to affect something the way you want it to, you have to use strong language. Strong language means language that affects.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm right about this. This is just my personal feeling. I like when you want to drive a point home, you want people to wake up and take it seriously. It's like kind of like screaming fire.
Yeah.
You want to get people's attention. And the language that, like that person that we were discussing this issue with on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
They use the language. They want you to constantly stay within a neutral language, which doesn't have any effect.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
or their claim that you can use language that has an effect without using curse words.
I haven't figured out how. Nobody, you try to use language, as strongly as possible, it just looks corny.
Yeah, it does look corny.
You know what I mean? Like you're trying to like, it either it's too verbose or you're too loud or something like that. And it doesn't have, at least in my experience, I don't know, I'm not saying that other people can't do it.
You see rabbis and like the Gura, the Sima Shas, they just scream.
Yeah, everybody's sleeping through their screaming.
Yeah. It's like, ever see people see 12,000 people, not 12,000, like 50,000 people sleeping as a guy's yelling to himself.
Yeah, it's they could yell all they want.
Yeah,
okay, but nobody feels that they're serious.
Yep.
You know why? Because they're not desperate.
Yeah.
They're too calculated. If you're so calculated when you're communicating,
yeah,
people sense that, and they sense that they're not getting something organic. They're not getting something with real feeling. They're getting something scripted, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not telling people that cursing is good or useful, but it's just because I think where I come from and the language I was used to hearing, not so much in the home, but just in my environment, in school and elsewhere. Okay. When I heard people speaking organically, there seemed to be a cursing involved.
Yeah.
Okay. It was used as a vessel to carry intent, and you felt it. And I don't know, I mean, even in those environments, anybody who just curses all the time, just because they like it for the sake of it, people thought they were idiots. I'm not talking about Jewish environments. I'm talking about
like Gary Vee or something like that.
Yeah, like why why you got to curse so much? You hear that a lot. It's not. But sometimes when someone is in distress, or when they are very, very worried, or they want to communicate something that's very, very important, and they feel strongly about it, and so the mind goes to this kind of place that is just kind of natural. I'm not saying it's good, but it's natural.
Yeah.
Okay. And a person is used to using certain terms right? When they're in that state of mind, and people can always sense it,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't know like how to do that in any other way. You know, I can't adopt a different set of like things that I'm used to, right? To carry intention. Like
Yeah.
I can't replace shit with goody gumdrops.
Yeah.
Or, you know, something lame like that because it's going to offend some Rebbitzin. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. It's not that I don't care about her feelings, but not to such an extent that I can't communicate, you know, freely when something is important.
Yeah.
You can't bind a person to that extent. Okay, and people let themselves be bound to that extent.
I explained to this person, I was like, you're asking the same things that was asked by Komsomol and or Chinese Red Guard. You know, it's
Yeah.
essentially the same modality. It's essentially the same way of being. You're going by some sort of, there's a doctrine somewhere in books. Okay, we know about Hazal, we know about Gemara, we know about all this stuff. We know, but we are real people. We are not robots. And I'm sure, like you told me in private, Hazal did not sit around like the George Carlin skit, the 7 dirty words. They didn't sit around like the FCC. The Hazal is not the FCC.
I don't think they had a little booklet of blacklisted words that are considered, you know, profane. Can I? This is just my personal like speculation, and I can't say I haven't seen this, but I have a feeling that it's there. Okay, that when they're talking about don't say lashon hara, right? I have a feeling what that really means, aside from not speaking bad things, right, is don't feel it in your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Don't feel it. Don't do something to yourself that changes that negativity, that nastiness that you feel towards your fellow.
Yeah.
All right. But that's not what, it doesn't seem like that's what's going on. Like nowadays, everybody is just kind of like, don't say it.
Yeah.
They're not telling you don't feel it.
Yeah, you can think what you want, just don't say it.
I don't know. I've never heard them say think what you want, but it basically amounts to that when you don't.
Well, listen, the Kotzker Rebbe had that phrase, you know, not everything we thought should be said, not everything said, you know, not everything said, where written should be published, that kind of thing. Yeah, that whole sequence of, you know the quote, right?
Listen, when you you know, that kind of reminds me, Patton Oswalt, he was talking, he said that he wanted to make a movie about Einstein, but not the stuff that was important to mankind, not the stuff that we're all interested in, but just the 45 minutes when he had explosive diarrhea.
Oh my God.
Just sitting there. That's again, Patton Oswalt, you know, that's what he comes up with. Yeah. But that kind of reminds me of what you just said, where, yeah, you're right. We don't need literature published on that particular 45 minutes of his life. You're right. Not everything needs to be published. I agree. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, you gotta boil it down a little bit to the most important things, you know?
Yeah.
So from that aspect, I suppose, okay. And when look, we're truth fanatics, right? That doesn't mean go out of your way to say literally everything. Yeah. That just means say what's real when it's important. Yeah. When you're talking about a topic, or when we're faced with an issue, right? We don't go around looking for issues to be faced with, but if you're faced with an issue, you got to talk about it in a real way, without, you know, from the heart to the mouth. Yeah. Not really passing that much through the mind. Because that, you know, well, what I mean to say is not through the calculating part of the mind. Yeah. You know, that the editor who wants to, you know, take out everything that's, you know, like,
you don't filter through the sensors. That's
the mother part of your mind. Yeah. Your mom doesn't care about you not selling out. Your mom doesn't care about, you know, integrity or any. Your mom just wants you to be safe with a good job and with a full belly.
And I tell you, so regarding this cursing thing, I mean, yeah, you know.
So listen, I'm not advocating for it, but if a person comes from a certain place where there's a certain type of language that was used, and as we know, language is a carrier of intent, and intent is something that can be universally understood, not the language itself, but the energy that it holds.
Yeah.
You could, if you watch, you go on TV and somebody's talking Swahili, you don't know what he's saying, but you can tell when he's kind of, just telling somebody an anecdote, or when he's getting real serious and he wants people to understand something.
Dude, listen, I was a few years ago dating this Balchuva girl, Russian speaking girl, let's say. And she was very serious about everything in terms of religious aspect and everything like that. But I remember being in her car and she was driving, and we're driving somewhere in either Queens or Brooklyn. I think it was in Queens. And when somebody does something on the road, dude, I heard F and S every 2 seconds, and I didn't judge her for it. It's actually kind of quite funny. And it made me look at her, it gave her humanity.
Because that's when that's
that's when the real them comes out.
I don't know if that's irony, but it's just it's when the exactly what you said, that's when the kind of the real them comes out, but not the real them in terms of, oh, they're a lowlife who curses.
Yeah.
That's where you see their real feelings and emotions, what they're affected by. They're affected by the stress of driving, because driving is scary and it's dangerous, and people deal with this stress somehow. There's what she's really saying is,
in her case, she wasn't scared. In her case, she was upset at people going slow, and she's an aggressive driver. But yeah, you get the point.
Whatever it is, you understand? Like, whatever her concern was.
Yeah.
Her concern was people are going too slow, and you gotta move. You can't take up people's time. You have to, you can't be on your cell phone. You gotta, when you're driving, whatever it is that's important to her, whatever it is that she feels strongly about, because when you're driving, that's, people don't, I don't think most people are conscious of it, but it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think on some level they sense it when they're in that situation. And that's when a person is challenged and they're worried, that's when you see their emotions and their concerns come out. And for some people, those emotions are carried by certain words that other people find, unrefined.
Yeah.
Okay. But at least it's real. At least it's true. It's not. That's when you see a person uncalculated, without guile, simple. I think that, kind of the description of Yaakov and Esav.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like my own personal idea. This is not something that I've heard anywhere, so take it with a grain of salt. When Yaakov is described as a simple person, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that doesn't mean he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most brilliant people who ever lived.
Yeah.
But he was simple in the sense of he was just honest and pure. He didn't have all these hidden agendas. He had no hidden agendas.
Yeah.
Okay. To such an extent that his mom had to download him with this hidden agenda plan.
Trickery and all, whatever.
The whole world doesn't get destroyed, by giving the blessing to Esav, whatever. Yeah. But Esav was described as a guy who was an excellent hunter, a man of the field.
Yeah.
And and now this part is not mine. This part I've seen that there are commentaries that explain that he was a hunter primarily with his mouth.
Yeah.
He could beguile people.
Yeah.
He was an excellent conversationalist.
That's why I'm very weary of charismatic rabbis. I'm very weary of them.
Charismatic anybody.
Charismatic anybody. Like when people say, "Oh, this rabbi is such a good thing," I'm like, I run away. I mean, unless it's like a person I see as genuine, kind of.
Listen, whenever anybody has to make a decision about whether or not to trust somebody, you got to get to know them.
Yeah.
You got to see them in life.
Yep.
You got to see how they are. Hey, remember that? It's a good example, even though this might have been a setup, but there's a movie, The Freshman. We talked about this, The Freshman, with Marlon Brando and Matthew Broderick, right? Comedy, Bruno Kirby.
Yeah.
So there's this, there's a scene where he starts working for Carmine Sabatini, right? Who is just he's an importer exporter.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, quote
And
unquote
then,
import export. Yeah,
yeah, and then these two, wink, wink, right? And then
Yeah.
these two federal agents approach Matthew Broderick and tell him that if he doesn't rat him out, he's going to go to jail. So and then they tell him that this guy is a bad guy anyway. So
Yeah.
he was conflicted. He didn't know what to do. And while he was making his decision, he was following Carmine Sabatini around,
Mhm.
Marlon Brando, right on the street, just watching him from a distance, seeing how he is.
Yeah.
Is he a bad guy? And then the scene was very funny. It's like you see him walking, and all the people on the street are greeting him. Like you have the Chinese man who's the grocer who he's like, oh, they hug each other. He gives them free oranges, and then everybody loves him. He interacts with people very warm, very loving, right? And you see Matthew Broderick, he's like starting to feel bad. He's like, oh, this guy is just a sweet old man, I think the implication later was that he realized that he was following him, and he acted like that. But in reality, you got to see a person in their element, how they act, when they're under stress. When you got to drive in the car and see, a bunch of times to see if they start cursing or not, whatever that kind. And just being carried away or being taken in by personality is primarily a female thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And we got to get into that because the females run the Orthodox Jewish community.
Oh yeah, big time.
Female spirit, the female state of mind, the whole philosophy, everything. Okay, where basically you let mom take over, who doesn't care about the truth. She just wants her baby to be safe, and alive and comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, at the expense of the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's going on in the Orthodox community. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I asked you the question based on what you just said. I asked
Papa is just keeping his mouth shut the whole time. That's not good.
you.
You need a mother and a father.
Yeah. No, but I asked you the question. Isn't it like a thing of where the Shekhinah's coming back, and so maybe that's why the feminine aspect is, so to speak, asserting itself?
Dude, the Shekhinah needs her consort, Zeir Anpin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Shekhinah by itself, not good. Okay, it needs to receive from Zeir Anpin. That's like that's the institution that God set up. And this pattern goes from in our world to the upper worlds, all the way to to its inception.
Yeah.
Okay, all the way up to Chachma and Bina, being in unity always.
Yeah.
Right. So Shekhinah by itself is bad. Bad. That's what it seems to be. Okay. So Shekhinah needs her metaphorical husband. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, but I just wanted to just point something out, and we'll close on this idea. Pure language, like that person that we were speaking to said, wasn't Lashon Noki, right? How does
No, yeah. Or Nokri or Noki.
Nucky, no, Nucky means pure, so clean.
Yeah.
So I think it's more important, like clean language. If you read Tehillim, you'll see that King David keeps talking about all these people who they speak smoothly, slickly, right? When they talk to you, but behind the scenes, they talk evil to you, and the lips become like swords and weapons of destruction.
Yeah.
That over and over and over again in Tehillim.
Yeah.
Okay. And David suffered greatly. King David suffered greatly on account of that. Okay. So that seems like what's happening nowadays, where people just say nice.
Yeah.
But feel not, but nobody tells you it's still nice.
Yeah.
Right. No. So to kind of purge yourself from that shit that's on top of your heart, you gotta clean that off.
Yeah.
And then you can speak and feel pure and speak pure. Okay. So If you're feeling, if you have shit on your heart, but you know, you don't show what's going on there. You are projecting speech,
Yeah.
which is communicating something that's different than the truth.
Yeah, you're being deceitful. It's dumb.
Okay. And that lady, right? She got in touch with you privately.
She
Right.
didn't. I actually it's about something else, but then she said, you know,
Okay.
regarding
okay,
you, I didn't
let me
even.
track. In the course of that
Yeah.
conversation that wasn't on the public part of your Facebook conversation,
Yeah.
she said something about me,
Yeah.
which I don't care, but it just goes to show you that she felt that why couldn't she say that to me?
I don't know.
Right? She said I'm a piece of work, which I am. I mean,
Yeah.
that's actually true.
Yeah.
So she was halfway there.
Yeah.
But she should have just said it, you know, publicly. If you're gonna say it.
Yeah.
If you're not gonna say it publicly, don't say it.
Yeah. Exactly.
But basically, the
And
language
she
of
proved
purity,
what you said in the affirmative, basically, by doing that.
right?
Yes.
So for me, a guy who tells you, or a girl who tells you exactly what's on her mind, exactly what's in her heart, right? Without any guile, that's much, much, much cleaner than a person who uses polite language.
Yeah.
But doesn't, but conceals their true feelings.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what needs to be purged. Bullshit. Fucking liars.
Yeah.
Okay. That needs to be banished from the earth. And then we can work on cleaning up, you know,
The actual sound.
you know,
Yeah.
like first let the automobile work.
Yeah.
Let it get you from point A to point B. Then you can worry about washing it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, you know, I guess they want to fake it till they make it, but it's all faking and no making. That's what it seems like. It just seems like all.
Fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah. Listen.
Yeah.
So
That's really when people are talking about fake it till you make it.
Huh.
The term that's used to describe that is really a misnomer.
Yeah.
They're not really saying fake it. They're saying start to act like you have already succeeded at the goal
Yeah.
you are striving towards.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it means.